Yes, my people, good day. How you feeling today? We're working on a Volkswagen Passat, a 2014, and we are replacing this variable cam solenoid. It has 3 bolts that holds it in place. I usually start on the bolt that is the hardest to get to, the trickiest one, and then leave the easiest one for last. Some people do it the other way. I like to do the hard stuff up front. So I remove the bolts and then now carefully prying the solenoid out of its place. It's in there up against a O-ring, so it's a little bit tight, but be gentle and it will come right out, and there it is. That's what it looks like. That's all there is to it. That little pin you see in the middle, it goes out and comes in, and that's how it actuates it. And that's the new part, and that's how it looks. So now the O-ring that I just mentioned, it's in there in a groove. So you just carefully pick it out of place, and that's it. Simple as that. And then the new O-ring, you install it just like that. As I say, it is in there in a groove, so you have to kind of work it in and then it falls into place. So you just carefully use a pick. I am not scratching against the machined surface. I am just carefully moving the O-ring in, and when it gets to the right spot, it will just fall into place and it stays in place right there. You see a little bit of oil that's coming out there. I just use a little bit of oil to lubricate the front of this new part, so that when I'm pushing it in, it's not going to catch on the dry O-ring and then maybe push it out of place. And you just carefully wiggle it back and forth, wiggle it back and forth, work it into place, and it goes right where it needs to be. I am orienting it so that it lines up with the bolt holes right now, and then carefully install the new bolts. I have new bolts. The procedure, the right procedure by the manufacturer is replace the O-ring and the bolts, and whenever I'm working on these things, if I can keep it as OEM as possible, I do. So I got the O-ring and I got the new bolts, and I'm putting them in there. Be careful, don't drop them bolts, because if you drop them bolts, it's gone into the abyss. You will never find them again. So don't rush. This is sped up a little bit. I'm not actually moving that fast, and I am just tightening them back up. These new bolts have thread lock on the end of them, so they're a little bit tight after you get them in, like maybe 3/4 of the way, and then you just tighten them up the rest of the way. Notice me working on this bolt right here, how much of a challenge it is. I have to keep on shifting position, shifting precision, changing procedures, because the space is limited. All these hoses, I could move them out the way, but they're coolant hoses. I don't want to open the cooling system, so I am working around it. So you see me going in from one side to the next side, but I got it. Then plug it back in. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bless. Yeah.